A Birmingham father's open, honest obituary about his 22-year-old daughter's death has struck a chord across the country.
And no shame, no hiding the truth. 22-year-old Cassidy Cochran died from a heroin overdose. ABC 3340's Cynthia Gould sat down with Cassidy's parents, who are now using their very personal story to shine light on this crisis.
As family and friends gathered to say goodbye to Cassidy, they remembered the little girl who loved to perform.
Yo, 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 we're going to the beach.
The queen of make-believe.
She was everybody's best friend.
Talented, beautiful, but suffering from a horrible addiction.
My brain gets crazy. It's so wild. It's like chasing.
Cassidy tried heroin for the first time with her boyfriend at age 15. Years of rehab stints and tough love followed.
You have to love them and not enable them. You have to see them as a human being with a disability.
The family, so desperate at one point, took Cassidy to a homeless shelter.
And that's when you realize that you're doing everything that you can, but it's just not enough, and you get terrified.
In the past few months, Cassidy had seemed healthy, back to her old self. Then a relapse with her tolerance down. A fatal decision to use one more time.
I got the knock on the door at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Every day.
Every day.
He just said she's dead. And I just collapsed. I mean, you can't even breathe.
Over the next few hours, Chris Cochran sat down and started writing. His words read in part, "If we allow shame, guilt, or embarrassment to cause this illness to become a dark family secret, hiding in the shadows, everyone loses." Now finding purpose after their heartbreak.
I really want to destigmatize this because I want people to know that they're not alone.
There are people reaching out to us from all over the country, people we've never known.
One parent sharing how the message hit home.
She said, my daughter asked for help, and we're going to a treatment center tonight, and it was because of Cassidy's death.
And the family continued their message at Cassidy's memorial service, pushing for Narcan, the antidote for a heroin overdose, to become more readily available. They say it's time to recognize traditional treatments just aren't working for these addictions. And perhaps most importantly, they hope we can start looking at this for what it is, a medical disorder, not a moral failing.
This is what somebody looks like who suffered from horrible disease.
If you aren't outraged at this point, you aren't paying attention.
And just last week, the Surgeon General said we are facing a crisis of addiction. 21 million people suffering from substance use disorders, and it's time to shift from a criminal justice to a public health strategy in this horrible fight.
Oh, what a tragedy, Cynthia. Now, the antidote we talked about is actually easier to get now.
Yes, pharmacies across the state can dispense it without a prescription. Also, UAB has a special pilot study to help these families get them access.
All right, our thoughts and prayers certainly with them. Thank you, Cynthia.